Good morning on this beautiful day in Malta. This is TAPP Talk number 32. We are live every day, Monday to Friday from 10 o'clock. And it's an opportunity for you to ask questions. And you can do that by writing in the comment box in either Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, or not on Twitter, but Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can write in the comment box there and ask questions. And you can also do that on WhatsApp. If you use this number, 998666142, I'll be able to see your messages and ask and answer your questions. And also we have a webpage with all the lives on them, the previous recordings, cut into segments so you can find things to help easily. tapwater.mt/live. And there's also, if you're watching a recording, there's a little there's a question form you can fill in. Just takes a minute. Leave your email address and a question, and I'll tell you when we cover that particular segment live. You can also email us at hello@tapwater.mt and ask a question if you want to, and then I'll cover it. And you can find us on social media at TAPP Water Malta, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on LinkedIn with the company TAPP Water Malta. So we do support and answer your questions from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock on email or on the Facebook Messenger and all sorts of stuff like that. And also you can get loads of help if you go to tapwater.mt/help. You'll see links in a lot of the questions that we get asked all the time, and we put the video segments in there so you can also watch them there. Okay, so this morning, let me just change that and take that banner off. Okay, so my name's Phil Richards, I'm from TAPP Water, and if you're watching this on a recording, we are live from Monday to Friday at 10 o'clock. And today, we're going to be talking about 7 myths about plastic recycling. And first of all, why are we doing that? Well, I think on the whole, we are led to believe that we can carry on using single-use plastic and just recycle it, and it's really not a problem. It's going to be okay. But I'm going to present to you 7 pieces of data that possibly will enable you to question whether it's really okay. The solution to plastic, single-use plastic in particular, is not recycling. And let's have a look at the reasons why. So I'm going to take that little banner in the corner at the top there off so that you can see. So the first myth that quite often comes up is a general idea, especially when we watch the news and stuff like that, that we're all aware of this plastic problem now, and therefore we are generating less plastic waste. And this is a myth. It is just not true. Plastic production and the use of plastics and the generation of plastic waste is on the increase. You can see here where 2020 is getting us. It's been rising really quite a lot for a long time. And you can see that the waste that's been incinerated is going up. So that's not recycling, that's called incineration, that's burning it. And you can see that the rate of recycling is increasing, but it's far below all of the waste discarded, the waste produced, and the waste incinerated. We are not generating less plastic waste, we are generating more. So number 2, the second myth, we're using less plastic. Well, obviously, some people are more plastic aware and definitely using less plastic. But we're talking about the general market here. And the research, I would say, has come from some particular research articles. A lot of it's based either in the UK or the US. But we say that Malta is different, but with plastic, it's not. So we know that just generally from our own behaviours as well as everyone else's. We're a developed economy like all the others, and we're doing much the same things. So are we really using less plastic? Well, no, we're not. The fossil fuel industry is actually wanting to push plastics on the world. So if you look at some of these quotes, which come from an article on CNBC, and that's quite, it's not a really old article. I think it's January this year, end of January this year. So the fossil fuel giants are looking towards petrochemicals and plastics in particular as their next major growth market. Obviously, we all talk about, if we're interested in climate change and things like that, we talk about decarbonisation. In other words, moving away from fossil fuels in our vehicles and generation of electricity and power and and heat and stuff like that. However, the fossil fuel industry still wants to sell its fuel. They still want to dig things up and generate something. And plastics, according to Judith Ennick, the founder and president of the non-profit advocacy group Beyond Plastics, plastics is the plan B. Of course, they're not talking about this. They're not, the plastics industry and the fossil fuel industry isn't going to say, oh, we've got these great plans for you. So other people with particular agendas do have to talk about it to try and make us aware. Plastics are made of fossil fuels. Let's not forget that. And they're set to drive nearly half of oil demand growth by the mid-century, according to the International Energy Agency. So we might be wanting to decarbonise sectors like aviation and shipping, but if we just replace it by using more plastic, it's not going to help. And if you look at the capital budgets, I find this really interesting. I've seen this research before. The fossil fuel companies and the plastics industry is investing huge amounts into how we make plastic using fossil fuels. They are investing more money in more plants because they want to sell us more plastic. And we saw also, we still remember COVID, don't we? We saw that we use a lot of plastic when we have an agenda. And so that's quite dangerous. Are we using less plastic? Absolutely not. That's a myth. What about myth 3? The plastic waste situation is getting better. Absolutely not. No, it's not. If current production and waste management trends continue, roughly 12,000 million tonnes of plastic waste will be in landfills or in the natural environments by 2050. That's a doubling in the next 30 years. That's a doubling from now. So there's 6,000 million tonnes according to this research, and I'll put the links when we've done this live. I'll put the links to the actual research so that you can follow that. Yeah, no, it's not getting any better because there are big commercial forces that don't really want it to get it any better. All right, let's have a look at myth 4. All types of plastic can be recycled. This particular symbol, and not something I really knew or understood about before I got into trying to eliminate the use of plastic bottles in Malta by by providing a water filter. This all types of plastic can be recycled. This recycling symbol does not mean that plastics get recycled. It means that technically it is possible to recycle them, but technically possible to recycle them and commercially viable to start recycling them is something totally different. So the ones that get recycled most on a practical sense are PET, which is single-use plastic bottles. That's what your water bottle is made out of. And actually that should be PET too. So yes, that's 1 and 2. It's interesting. I must have uploaded the wrong symbol there, so I apologise for that. I've just done the same one twice. That's PET 1 and PET 2. And they are recycled, and we see them in carpets, furniture, fleece, and all that kind of stuff. It's very interesting to think that you're wearing a recycled plastic bottle when you put on your fleece in the winter, but that's probably something to think about whether you really want to do that. If you're watching live, then thank you for joining us. Please do put comments, and if you've got any questions, please do put comments in the box and I'll pick those up. And if you're watching this on a recording, please do send the comments on a form or put them in the comments on the YouTube video. And you can also like and subscribe us as well so you get more updates. So all types of plastic can be recycled? Absolutely not. Mostly 1 and 2. And even those they struggle with. And I'll come to some figures about that in a minute. So myth 5, don't worry about using plastic, just put it in the recycling bin and everything will be all right. No, absolutely not. Plastic waste isn't really recycled. Yes, I know, we talk about recycling. You go to all that effort to put it in the grey bag and you think you're doing a good job because you're sorting your waste. And here in Malta, we have big campaigns that are paid for by the European Union to encourage people to sort waste so that you can sort it out and get it right and all that kind of stuff. And what happens to it? Well, this research, which was done, estimates that only 9% of all plastics that have ever been generated have ever been recycled. 12% was incinerated, and 79% was accumulated in landfills or the natural environment. And we are doing better with recycling in Malta. I think 2020 figures showed that WasteServe recycled 26 million plastic bottles out of the 200 million that we are using in Malta. So that is, what, about 10%. So that's sort of in line with these figures here. But we'll have a look in a minute as to what actually happens. Recycling at this point means that you put them in the waste stream and they have been separated at the final destination of the waste rather than landfilled. Okay, that's obviously better, but it's still only 10%. So 90% don't get recycled. So myth 6, recycling is processed locally. Now I find this quite interesting because I sort of knew this before. There is a little bit of recycling done locally. There are a couple of companies that do buy recycled plastic. However, from a financial point of view, those companies are only buying recycled plastic or plastic that comes from a source so they can use it in their systems. They're only going to buy it when that's cheaper than the virgin plastic. And that's very dependent on the oil price. When the oil price is coming down, then virgin plastic is quite often cheaper than recycling plastic. So therefore, what's their motivation to recycle plastic? Well, unless they're on a mission, as an mission-orientated business like ourselves, for instance, then they're probably not going to bother. Now, I would like to say that the purpose of this myth is, or the purpose of this presentation, is not to criticize what these companies are doing. I am not intending to do that whatsoever. So I offer that as a disclaimer in this. These companies are doing what the system gives them to do. They're doing it, and they're doing it within the context of how we as people have developed this system or allowed this system to develop. So I'm not criticizing either of the companies that are in this particular myth here. So if you look at this, this is our waste company who is doing better with its recycling to try and meet EU targets. And you can see this column here of lots of yellow. This is one company that is picking up a lot of the recycled plastic in Malta. So the WasteServe are sorting and making sure this plastic doesn't go into landfill. That's an improvement for sure. But then where does it go? And I copied a couple of little bits off this company's website as to who's buying the recycled plastic or the plastic for recycling. And it says they are a leading waste exporter in Malta. It exports all recyclable waste streams in primary form, namely plastics, paper, metals and glass, which is then converted into secondary raw materials. And we have a strong client base in Pakistan, Italy, Spain, Turkey, Thailand, Singapore and India. However, the company is also actively seeking new partners and waste importers in order to be able to expand its operations and allow customers to benefit from competitive rates. So, I left the company there, I didn't mean to. So again, not criticizing the companies because they're doing what is available in the market, and quite right too. But really all we're doing with plastics when we recycle it here in Malta is we take it out and separate it from the waste stream, and then we send it somewhere else, and it becomes somebody else's issue. Now, you don't know what's happening to it when you do that. Maybe it's turned into something else. Maybe it's incinerated. Maybe it goes to a landfill. There is some research that is around on the internet about some of the countries that don't have as strong regulation as we do. And a lot of those companies have been, that are here in this thing have been mentioned in various research, especially from the UK waste, which has been found in all sorts of different countries. So, myth 6, does recycling happen locally? Not a lot, frankly. It's possible, but we ship our waste somewhere else. So the reason for presenting this, again, is not to criticize these companies, but to present you with the proposition that if you didn't use it in the first place, nobody would have to give the problem to another country to solve. So perhaps not using it as much as you can is more of a solution than recycling. Recycling is a myth to make you feel better about using single-use plastic, so you put money in the pockets of the fossil fuel industry. Simple as that. It's a myth. Okay, the BCRS scheme in Malta. So we're going to see that launch soon. I saw the first Facebook posts of people who have spotted the machines in various big supermarkets and stuff like that. So we think that these are the new machines that are coming soon. And again, this slide and this part of the presentation, the 7th myth, is not to diss this particular company at all or what they're trying to do, not whatsoever. It is definitely better if this system where you're going to pay 10 cents on a bottle, on a plastic bottle, and also, I just talk about plastic bottles, but I would hasten to add, this includes all sorts of other packaging as well, such as cans and glass. Or is it glass? I can't remember actually, but your beverage container, but definitely cans. So I'm not an expert in the system. I talk about plastic bottles. So this includes plastic bottles. You pay your 10 cents, you use the plastic bottle, then you put it back in the machine, and you get your 10 cents voucher, which you can spend at any retailer or person that's linked to the system. It's a huge operation. There's a huge amount of investment gone in it. Will it help? Well, definitely it's going to help, because you're going to see less plastic bottles on the streets. And the research throughout the other European countries that have put this kind of system in has shown improvements in the recycling levels. So we will see improvements in the recycling level. However, the bit I want to point out to you is this bit here. What happens at the end of this system? The containers are sent for recycling. So then what will happen? Well, it'll be back to the same thing. We are more likely at this current rate to have that plastic waste exported to another country with all the CO2 emissions that are involved in the export, shipping, packaging, crushing, sorting, etc., etc., etc. It's just going to get sent somewhere else. And then what's going to happen to it? I don't know. Make your own conclusions. Again, I present to you, maybe not using it in the first place is a better solution than trying to believe that recycling will solve the problem. Recycling will not solve the single-use plastic problem. Not using it at all does solve the problem, because there is no problem if you don't use it. And that is the point of today's presentation. I did not know anything about this. Before I started distributing the tap water system in June 2020, although I was interested in sustainability and interested in waste in particular and plastics, I did not know really about this. I'm just a normal consumer that buys what they want, uses what they want, and then feels good about putting it in a grey bag because I'm doing my job. In fact, the more I put in the grey bag, the better. I'm not sure about that now. Not with this kind of information that's available now. I'm not sure about, really, if I put things in a grey bag, it's really solving the problem. With plastics. With other materials, it may be a lot better. For instance, cardboard, I know, is much better. Because it can be recycled sort of 7 or 8 times. Plastics, even if you do recycle it, you're only going to be recycling it 1 or 2 times. Then what do you do with it when you can't recycle it anymore because it's lost its plasticity and it's lost its essential characteristics? What do you do with it next? Burn it? Maybe. Landfill it? Maybe. Ship it to somewhere else so they can burn it? Maybe. You see the issue. Not solving, if recycling doesn't solve the problem, but not using it, you don't have a problem. So there's nothing to solve. So let me take that off the screen. I hope you have perhaps enjoyed that different view, and maybe you consider your use of plastics in the future. So one other thing I would like to just briefly update you on, we have lots of customers, I have approximately 114 orders that are outstanding for EcoPro filters, annual packs of EcoPro and ShowerPro. And in particular, the ShowerPro customers, a lot of you are absolutely brand new to Tap Water Malta. You haven't bought anything off us before, and you bought a shower filter. And I've been telling you for a few weeks now that it's on its way and it'll be delivered soon. And as far as I know, it's still arriving today, which means it'll be out to you from the 31st of August. So that just allows a few days for clearance and for me to get it into the warehouse. However, I am actually increasingly uncertain that it will arrive today. I've tried to get the shippers to tell me, I've tried to get the confirmation. However, I have looked at where the ship is and it's not in Malta. So either the bill of lading is wrong or something else has happened, but I am really concerned and I'm sorry. We've had a month of this, and I particularly would like to be using a slightly different delivery system than we have, because we have had some issues with deliveries this year. I wanted to tell you that I'm sorry, that I am doing as much as I can about it and making sure that this shipment comes in. If you do want a refund, then just ask me and I'll refund you and then let you know when it's in. But I am, well, I don't have any extra information, but I'm confident we get our stock, because we always get it, but sometimes it goes on a bit. And I'm talking to Tap Water in Barcelona about how we change that to make it more certain, because I'm not satisfied with how it is. I think we let you down when we can't give you exact dates. I think when you get a shipment pushed off once and the date changes, that's okay. If it happens 3 times, I think, begin to wonder whether we should using a different process. And I joke about the fact that since I knew this shipment was being boarded, I could have walked to Barcelona and picked it up and carried it back. Except it's bigger than that, because I couldn't do that. But I could certainly have, well, I think we could have used a different system. We don't want to use air freight, because that's not very good for CO2 emissions. But if it isn't a direct route and it's on the ship, then that's not very good either. So I am doing what I can, and hopefully you're watching this recording and I send you the messages out. I won't be sending any messages out until I've waited till 5 o'clock to hear back from the shipping agent here in Malta, who hopefully will come back with the information that I need in order to give you good news. But if I don't have good news, I'll be sending this out to you so that you watch it. And on Monday, I will be trying to get as much information as I can. So thank you for watching today. It's been a pleasure to be with you. And I haven't got any questions or comments, but I'll be back on Monday, and I look forward to seeing you then. Let me just take that banner off, and have a great weekend. Thank you.